Shorty's at the back there. Here we go. And Matt, of course, also got a chance to drive for Volkswagen at the hill climb as well as part of their VIP experiences that they were getting up the hill. Here we go into a little bit of a tough start there, as you can see. But is it going to be Venkov hanging on? It looks like he might have just hung on and kept Moore out. Moore goes to the left-hand side, coming through. And on the inside line, Luke Hill trying to just stay in the hunt at the front end and keep himself in the running for the lead of this championship. Remember, Luke Hill has taken 3 out of 4 victories so far in the opening round. So he's been the man to beat in Rookie Cup.
I think that might be Dias looking for third place at the moment. I just got to learn the colours that are on the dashboards. Yeah, that does look like Diaz has moved himself up to third place. Luke Hill looks like he's down in fourth with the yellow on the back of the bumper. But right now in the front, it is all blue, and it's all about Venkov up onto the brakes. Into turn number 5 they go. Starting to get a little bit of a gap. It's not even Venkov leading at the moment. It is Moore has gotten himself to the front ahead of Venkov. Ahead of Diaz in second. Third place is Venkov in fourth, Luke Hill. So a lot of mixing and shaking going on after the start as they head down into turn number 8. All these cars identically painted, so we just got to learn the little strips of colour. The lipstick, as Greg likes to call it.
If you get the lipstick right, you'll know who you're talking about. So Jack Moore leads out across the line in the blue lipstick, right on his tail. Great start coming out of Sebastian Dias. You mentioned how well he got off the line and outgunning the other Sebastian there. Venkov, our pole man, down to third place and into the clutches of the championship leader in fourth, which is Luke Hill. Kian Duomo is in 5. Maxi Corbett just ahead of Matt Shorter. And I think Shorter got off the line a little bit harshly. It wasn't quite on the kind of pace that Matt Shorter would have liked to have had, but probably not used to this car in terms of a start. That'll probably be the first start that Matt's ever done in one of these cars. Hello.
Meerkat on the track.
Yeah, heads up. Listen, we had, George, the Canadian Beaver last night in qualifying and free practice 1 for F1, and now we've got one of Zwartkops' locals in the house.
Moses, the majestic meerkat.
I think that might be a mongoose, if I'm not
mistaken.
Mongoose?
Yeah, mongoose.
As opposed to meerkat, but I'm not gonna worry about that too much, because if he doesn't get out the way soon, he's not going to be much of a goose left.
Talking about getting out the way, Jack Moore trying to get the hammer down and get away from Diaz. Diaz has closed that gap. Venkov holding up Luke Hill a little bit now. Luke Hill needs to get himself past Venkov to get himself back onto the front group. His championship lead is diminishing lap after lap here in race 1. If he doesn't get himself closer into that podium, it's 2 by 2 by 2 here in the Volkswagen Rookie Cup. As they head on to start. 6 laps to go here in Zwartkops International Raceway. And it's Jack Moore leading it out from Sebastian Dias. Sebastian Venkov just holding on to third there, keeping Luke Hill at bay. But Luke Hill definitely does seem to get the run out of 2 slightly better than Venkov. And it does give him the opportunity to get up underneath that bumper through 2, through 3, and possibly make a move up into 4. But I think that gap just a little bit bigger than it needs to be. 6 laps to go, though. We can see these 4 will tighten it up as the race goes on.
The problem you got right now, Carl, is what we should have mentioned right at the word go. These are all identical vehicles. So to try and find the advantage, it has to come from your setup and what you're allowed to do on that setup.
Which I think is only tyre pressures, if I'm not mistaken.
And then, of course, the other thing is racecraft. So your racecraft comes into play now. And some of these guys have come from karting. Some of them have come out of other programs of motorsport. Some of them have come into this from Volkswagen Challenge. And, of course, NX Legends with Sebastian Venkov, who does an amazing job in that category. And he's also one of the front runners in NX Legends. So he would have had a little bit of tutoring from Devin Robertson and the team like that. So I think there's a very good possibility that even yours truly would have had a little chat.
Yeah, well, he came out of my stable in 2024. We ran in the Young Lions Academy with Torben Roos. He finished second that year, Torben Roos winning out that championship in the Young Lions. But coming from my stable and then moving into the Polo Cup category and continuing in Legends with father and son racing, Jimmy Tibbett. So great job from Venkov there, making the step into front-wheel drive cars. We've seen a lot of drivers do that from NX Legends to front-wheel drive and showing what he's learned there as he goes around the outside. Who was that? That looks like Shorter looking for a way past. Just showing the other drivers how late you possibly could brake.
Corbett running wide there slightly as he went into turn 2. Just maybe just overextending himself slightly on that the stopping pedal. Didn't quite go according to plan. Jack Moore continues to lead things out as they come onto the back straight away and into turn 4. going back into this field of drivers as well, we've got Venkov, who's driving in NX Legend, Sebastian Dias, Jack Moore, and I think Kian Duomo at this stage, all using additional practice time in Volkswagen Challenge, ATE Volkswagen Challenge. So there's a couple of classes where these guys are sort of getting that extra seat time to learn the racecraft. Because as you said, you can coach a driver as much as you want. You can show him the way to do things. You can talk about how things go. But until you're actually in a race like we're seeing from these three, the racecraft strategies and where to place your car, where to brake, how to get round, how to find a way around cars is very difficult.
Yeah, it's something that you can't teach. You can only learn it. But a lot of these drivers competing in all sorts of different categories to keep the race, to keep themselves in the seat. And seat time is super important for a young driver, especially when moving into a new class. Jack Moore doing a lot of karting. Sebastian Dias does a lot of shifter karting. Luke Hill, father importer of Praga karts, spend a lot of time on the karts as well. So a lot of these drivers doing other series as well to keep themselves sharp as they get onto the brakes into turn 2. Around the outside, Shorter goes again.
Shorter holds the inside line. Outside line was the 21 car, Maxi Corbett, who got out of shape for the second time. This time a lot worse for wear than the first time, and he drops right to the back of the field and completely out the tail end of this small field of Volkswagen Rookie Cup competitors. Out front, though, Jack Moore controlling things. He's kept Sebastian Dias and Venkov at bay. Luke Hill hasn't found a way through there on Venkov, although he has shown a wheel on a few occasions. He just kind of pulls out on slipstream, says, I'm here, and then tucks back in again. Maybe waiting a little bit later on in the race as we get to the halfway stage completed.
Yeah, Luke Hill, definitely one of those drivers that likes a late charge in a race. Does like to watch and see what's going on here. He's going to get himself an opportunity, though, because Sebastian Dias trying to go around the outside of Jack Moore as he got defensive because of a bad exit out of 5, and that's going to give Venkov a run on Dias down into turn 8. Venkov going to look down the inside. He's going to have to be late on the brakes. He's past the B pillar, over the curb. We saw how quickly those things go from 2 wheels to upside down. So I think Venkov just getting out of the loud pedal there, doesn't want to end up on the roof like we saw Jack do in the round in Quebec. As they head through
good
1
catch
into 2.
there from Venkov to keep it on 2 wheels and then bring it back down onto 4, which is where you want to be in a polo as opposed to on 2. Just ask Jack Moore, he'll tell you. Moore must be watching in the rear mirror going, hang on a second, is that what I look like?
At least I got to see it IRL now. I'm sure he's watched the video footage back and forth. But this Rookie Cup over the curb starting to be a little bit reminiscent of Gabriel Telquini or one of those old school touring cars as they jump the curbs over on 2 wheels.
Clipping them onto 2 wheels. I like that. If you watch Australian V8 supercars as well, they go through those chicanes. Man alive, it's 2, 2, 2, 2, 2.
I'm pretty sure they all fall off the ground most of the time.
At some point, they've got to be. Incredible. It's kind of like MotoGP. I mean, those bikes never ever go in a straight line, according to Brad. You are sliding that bike sideways even when you're in a straight line doing 360 odd k's an hour. Here we go. Rookie Cup in the house. And coming to the closing stages, we're about to get onto that penultimate lap. Sebastian Venkov seems to be the most aggressive driver. Let me put my words in there correctly. The most aggressive driver out there is Venkov, looking for a way through on Dias as they come back down into turn 8 and past Volkswagen Driving Academy.
Dias might have been a little bit early on that move to try and go around the outside of Jack Moore. That lost them the time on Jack. So difficult to close the gap back up in these Rookie Cup cars. As you say, they are absolutely identical. So all these cars built exactly the same, tested between all the driver coaches to ensure they're all the same. And it looks like that little early move on the outside was a bit much for Dias, but look how late he is on the brakes in turn 2 trying to close that gap. But there is the Constantino effect. The exit's going to be compromised, but it looks like Venkov went in just as deep, got on the loud pedal just as late. So there was no kind of gain or loss there for either of those drivers at the moment, though. Jack Moore kind of having it all his own way. 7 tenths is a big gap to have in a class like VW Rookie Cup. And Luke Hill kind of falling away from the wayside there, falling off the bus in the later stage of this race as the 2 Sebs go at it for second place.
Luke Hill getting 4th place will give him 6 points. It'll move him to 51 points. So he'll maintain the lead of the championship, but the gap is definitely going to come down from Sebastian Dias and from Jack Moore's point of view. Sebastian Venkov will probably move up ahead of Kian Duomo and bring these 4 cars into the top 4 overall in the championship by the time the flag comes out, if they stay the way they are right now.
Mistake there from Venkov.
Unless we see something like that from Venkov.
They come down into turn 8. Luke Hill saw that. He might be thinking there's a bit of blood in the water, though, as they head out of the exit of turn number 8 to start their final lap. Jack Moore got a bit of breathing room over Dias, but it's not all over yet. It's only 7 tenths of a second. One small mistake, and Dias will be right back in that. Saying that, though, same goes for him with Venkov and Luke Hill chasing hard. It's into turn 2. There's a couple of gaps between all these cars, so I don't know if we're going to see a last lap lunge from anybody. But as I say that, Luke Hill late on the brakes to try and close that gap, and he's going to have to work hard to maintain that gap all the way through 4 and 5 and up into 6.
One to go, as you can see there, but I can tell you right now, the problem he got with Luke Hill and going in so late is that it compromises his drive on the exit, and that's where Venkov just maintains that little gap that he needs. This is going to be equidistant. There's not any issues here at all. In fact, in the last lap, Jack Moore has pulled slightly ahead of Sebastian Dias, so great driving there from him to get good drive out of turn 1 and 2. And it was basically because Diaz went on the defensive as well to keep Venkov out, just in case of any emergencies. But we got 4 corners to go. No worries at all here for Jack Moore. Looks like he's going to turn his luck around completely after being upside down. He's
turning himself around.
He's turned his world upside down in terms of results. Background, someone's gone off the track there. You can see a bit of dust in the background. So I would say my money would be on Max Corbett, just as an inkling possibility of him running wide out of turn 4. But into turn 8 and to the line, Jack Moore with the victory.
Yeah, Jack Moore takes it ahead of Sebastian Dias. Sebastian Venkov fought hard to try and close the gap, but he wasn't quite close enough. 4th place goes to Luke Hill from Steel 4, Praga and CMTA. Kenyan Dua, he'll come across in 5th place, just ahead of Max Shorter. And in 7th place, Max Corbett. Tried his hand at Rallycross, but let's see what he does in race number 2. I'm sure he'll be closer up to the front there after having a chat and going over the data with one of the top VW driver coaches in that stable. There are 4 of them to choose from, so I'm sure he's got a lot of experience he can use there.
Yeah, imagine if they chuck somebody else in the car for the second heat. I'd love to see Brad or Machotzi back into the car here for the second heat, but we'll wait and see where that goes. But there you go, unofficial result.